ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we are starting a new chapter today. It is chapter 4 of Canto 3. Vidura approaches Maitreya. Text 1. Uddhava uvacha atathetad anugnatha bhuktva pītva cha varunim taya vibramshita jnana duruktir marma paspushuhu. Thereafter, all of them, the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja, being permitted by the Brahmanas, partook of the remnants of prasad and also drank uh, liquor made of rice. By drinking, they all became delirious and bereft of knowledge. They touched the cores of each other's hearts with harsh words. So this is like the Maushala Leela, which is called as the Krishna's winding up of the Yadu Vamsha. So that is this Leela particularly. And here, what's happening is all all of them, they went to the Prabhasa Kshetra, all the like the Yadus, and we saw that there are Nitya Parshads of the Lord who are eternal associates of the Lord. They remained in the Dwaraka, and all the demigods and other people who had taken birth in the Yaduvamsha just to assist Lord Krishna in his pastime. So all of them, so they had all gone to this Prabhasa Kshetra, and there they performed all the rituals and everything, and then they fed the brahmanas, and then they took also prasad, and after that they started drinking liquor, so which is made of rice. And because of drinking liquor, they all became little delirious, and then they started exchanging some harsh words. So, like it so happens that nobody plans to insult others or hurt others. It just by the way of speech, over a period of time, it just happens that people get into some bad terms with each other. So this happened at this point in time. Of course, we know it is by the will of the Lord, because the Lord wanted this winding up of this Yaduvamsha was required, because such a huge family Lord had, and he wanted to wind up all those things before he left. So let's see the purport. In the ceremonies, when Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are sumptuously fed, the host partakes the remnants of foodstuffs after the guest has given permission. So the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja formally took permission from the Brahmanas and ate food prepared and ate the prepared foodstuff. Kshatriyas are permitted to drink at certain occasions, so they all drank a kind of a kind of light liquor made of rice. By such drinking, they became delirious and bereft of sense, so much so that they forgot their relationship with one another and used harsh words which touched the cores of each other's hearts. Drinking is so harmful that even such a highly cultured family becomes affected by intoxication and can forget themselves in a drunken state. The descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja were not expected to forget themselves in this way, but by the will of the Supreme, it happened, and thus they become harsh towards one another. So this is all the orchestration of the Lord. Sometimes these pastimes are a little difficult to comprehend and understand. Many times people ask like why such a thing happened, to the dear devotees of Lord. So they were all family members of Lord. So why did such a thing happen? So but then sometimes the Lord does these kind of pastimes which are quite bewildering. Text 2. Tesham maitreya doshena visham vishamikruta chetasam nimlochati ravav asid venu nam iva mardanam. By the friction of bamboos, destruction takes place. So also at sunset, by the interaction of the faults of intoxication, all their minds became unbalanced and destruction took place. Purport. When there is a need of fire in the forest, by the will of the Supreme, it takes place due to friction among the bamboos. Similarly, the descendants of Yadu were all destroyed by the will of the Lord by the process of self destruction. Just as there is no possibility of a fire occurring deep in the forest due to human effort, so also there was no power in the universe which could vanquish the descendants of Yadu who were protected by the Lord. The Lord wanted them to be so destroyed, and thus they obeyed his order, and indicated by the word Tad Anujñata. So, like wherever this word Anu, so the wherever this word Anu is there. Anu means it has two meanings. One is like at least two places we use that. Uh, One is like constant. Another is to follow. No, anujñata. So that means anujñata means like to follow. The will of the Lord. So here, all these people, so they just followed the will of the Lord, and Lord's plan was to destroy everything. So they just followed that. Text 3. Bhagavan Svatma Mayaya Gatim Tamavalokya Saha Saraswatim Upasprishya Vriksha Moolam Upavishat. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, after foreseeing the end of his family, by his internal potency, went to the bank of river Saraswati, sipped water, and sat down underneath a tree. Purport. All the above mentioned activities of the Yadus and Bhojas were executed by the internal potency of the Lord because he wanted them to be dispatched to their respective abodes after he finished his mission of descent. They were all his sons and grandsons and were given complete protection by parental affection of the Lord. How they could be vanquished in the presence of the Lord is answered in this verse. Everything was done by the Lord Himself. Swatma Mayaya. Swa-atma means like one's own Mayaya. So Lord's family members were either incarnations of His plenary expansions or demigods from heavenly planets. And thus, before His departure, He separated them by His internal potency. Before being dispatched to their respective abodes, they were sent to the holy place of Prabhasa, where they performed pious activities and took food and drink to their heart's content. It was then arranged for them to be sent back to their abodes, so that others could see the powerful Edu dynasty was no longer in the world. In the previous verse, Anujñata, indicating that the whole sequence of events was arranged by the Lord, is significant. The particular pastime of the Lord are not manifestations of his external energy or material nature. So, like whenever we discuss these topics, we see that Swamayaya or Atma Mayaya and things like that. So, it is it should be taken only as the internal potency of the Lord. Why not external potency of the Lord? See, external potency of the Lord also follows the Lord, also does whatever is the Lord is sanctioning. It is not that external potency is functioning without the will of the Lord. So there also will of the Lord is there. But then here in the external potency, so people are not willing to render service to the Lord. So when the people are not willing to render service to the Lord, so then it is it is the Lord's will is just to sanctioning. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Anumanta Upadrishta, Bharta Bhokta Manishina. So like in that it is there, Anumanta, like he is sanctioning things, for based on the karma and based on the desires of the living entities. So here, the Lord's desire is not held the key, in the material world. So in the material world, the desire of the living entities is held key. So that is why it is not very the it is not for example, if something has happened in this material world, so we say that without the sanction of Lord nothing can happen. So then how is it happen, like how this wrong thing can happen? So how did the Lord give sanction to it? Yeah, Lord gives sanction to things in this material world, but that may not be what the Lord wants. Whatever happens in the material world is definitely sanctioned by the Lord, but it may not be what the Lord wants, right? So there are so many instances of this. I think I had mentioned this one scenario where one boy, he was beating his parents for not giving money for getting drugs, and then sometimes the parents would give. So without the sanction of the parents, this boy cannot have even one penny, and he's having money now. And somebody may tell that the parents, like, why have you sanctioned this money to him? So they'll say, like, no, it is not our desire. No, we don't want to give him, but then we are forced, or no, we see the condition, and no, it is if we don't give, then what if he goes off the home, and what if he does something, or what if he commits suicide and things like that? So like the parents are forced to give something. So in the same way, like the Lord also gives things in this world not because he likes it. No, it's because of his love towards us, and then we are so adamant of having material things. So Lord unwillingly he gives. So that is why the material, the external nature, whenever it comes to the point of Lord's desire, it is the Lord's will that is getting executed. So then it cannot be external energy. That is called internal energy. Internal energy, there is no contradiction. If Lord decides something, that's what will happen. Everyone is in sync with the Lord's plan, and that is called internal energy. External energy means what? We are making so many plans, and Lord has to sanction them. In fact, I was discussing with some devotees, and they were telling about what is a viewpoint of materialist. So the materialist is like, they go to different demigods, and then okay, this demigod is not hearing me, whatever I'm saying, so I should go to another demigod. So the people of the world, they have idea, why do they have to go to God? Because God will listen to me, and God will follow my orders. God is my order supplier, and God will follow my orders. So it is not that I am the servant of the Lord and I have to follow the orders of God. So that's a paradigm shift. That's the like 180-degree opposite to what people think is devotion or spirituality and things like that. So spirituality means that we are meant to serve the Lord, and materialism means God is meant to serve us. So that is materialism. So external energy means yeah. So that is also functioning based on sanction of the Lord, but we cannot say whatever is happening, the external energy is what the Lord wants. It's something that Lord is just he may not want it, but he is still, out of love for the living entities, he's just agreeing to their proposals, and he just puts the system of karma so that it can be regulated. Otherwise it will go haywire, it will go like completely messy, the whole situation is. So that's why, like, anything that is anujnata, so that means it is happening following the will of the Lord. So then it must be done through internal potency of the Lord. It is not external potency of the Lord, right? Okay, such an exhibition of his internal potency is eternal, and therefore one should not conclude that the Yadus and Bojas died in a drunken state in an ordinary fratricidal war. Sri Jiva Goswami comments on this incident as magical performances. It's like it's generally not possible. Such very highly cultured persons and personal family members of Krishna, like, dying in this way. It's sometimes it is quite difficult to understand, but then no. So it is. We can only say that it is the will of the Lord. Okay, text 4. Aham chokto bhagavata prapannarthi harenaha badrim tvam praya Prayahithi Swakulam Sanji Hirshunam. The Lord is the vanquisher of distress, vanquisher of the distresses of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus, he who desires to destroy his family, thus he who desired to destroy his family, told me previously to go to Badrikashrama. So, like, who's speaking this? Uddhava, and like Uddhava is telling, Lord is the vanquisher of the distresses of one who is surrendered unto him. So, like Uddhava is surrendered to the Lord, and the Lord doesn't want to see Uddhava in distress. So the Lord told his desire before only to Uddhava that I am going to destroy the whole family. So you please go to Badrikashram. No, you don't stay here. If you see all these things, you will feel very, very bad. No, all our family members are getting killed. So I'm going to do that. But then, before that, you go to Badrikashram. So you don't be here. So like that, he sends him off to Badrikashram. Purport. While at Dwaraka, Uddhava was warned to avoid the distresses which were to follow the disappearance of Lord and destruction of Yadu dynasty. He was advised to proceed to Badrikashram because there he could associate with the devotees of Naranarayana and their association of devotional service, and in their association of devotional service, he could increase his eagerness for chanting, hearing, knowledge, and detachment. Right. So Krishna actually prepared Uddhava and then he sent him off. Text 5. Tatapi tad abhipretam janan aham anirdama prashto पृष्ठो अवगमं बर्तुः पादविश्लेषणाक्षमः. Yet, in spite of my knowledge, his desire to destroy the dynasty, O Arindama, Vidura, I followed him because it was impossible for me to bear separation from the lotus feet of the master. So, Krishna is telling all these things, but then Uddhava, just to give a heads up into his character, Uddhava is so much attached to Krishna that in fact he even had the same features as Krishna. So when Uddhava was like after Krishna came to Mathura and then he killed his no, he killed Kamsa, then he went to the Avantipur and he took this one Gurukul from Sandipani Muni. So in Avantipur means it is in the Ujjain area, and then later he went back to Mathura, and when he went back, so that time like Uddhava, was one of the dear associates of Krishna. In fact, right from childhood, he was a devotee of Krishna, and he looked exactly like Krishna also. And then he was sent to Vrindavan just to pacify pacify his relatives in the who are feeling separation from Krishna. And Uddhava went there, and then at first, like the gopis, when they see, so they see that, oh, Krishna has come back, and then they see, no, 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 he is not Krishna. So they actually later they kind of understand. So in this way, like he was so much Krishna conscious that his personality also looked like Krishna, right? So in that way, like he was so much attached to Krishna, he would never leave Krishna at any point in time. So, but then, here Krishna is sending him off, and that too telling him that, no, that's all, goodbye, farewell. No, we are not going to meet again. And he was like really in broken down state. Uddhava was, right. So we can imagine like anybody whom we like the most in this world, if we have to depart from them, how tough the departure is. And here Uddhava has to handle the departure of Krishna, who's the life and soul of every living entities and who's the most lovable personality. And Uddhava had to part with him. So it was like real, very strong, this one, no strong feeling actually. Okay, so text 6. Adraksham mekam asinam vichinvan daitam patim Sriniketam saraswatyam akritakhetam akethanam. Thus, following, I saw my patron and master, Lord Sri Krishna, sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter of on the bank of river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of goddess of fortune. So he was like, he's meeting Krishna in a very secluded place. No, Krishna is also like he knows that this fight is going to happen, so he's actually going to the banks of Saraswati, and he is sitting there, and at the same time, like Uddhava is also coming there deep in the forest, like um, like within some secluded place, where Krishna is there. Purport: those who are in the renounced order of life often take shelter underneath a tree. The Lord was found by Uddhava in that condition of taking shelter, as do persons who have no shelter. Because he is the proprietor of everything, everything everywhere is his shelter, and everywhere is under his shelter. The entire material and spiritual cosmic manifestation is sustained by him, and therefore he is the shelter of everything. No, in fact, Arjuna also tells, like Parabrahma, Param Dhama. Param Dhama means, like, Dhama means that which offers the shelter, or that which holds, that is a space in which something exists. That's called Dhama. So, like, Param Dhama means, like, he's the supreme abode. He's the resting place of everything that is there in the entire creation. And such a person is taking rest under a tree. That's like very poetic comparison, actually. So there was nothing astonishing in his taking shelter in this way of the unsheltered, in the way of the unsheltered who are in the renounced order of life. So Krishna also shows all kinds of examples. So he is showing the example of a person who's renounced everything, and then he's he's kind of in a udasin bhav, towards this world. Okay, श्यामावधात्तं विरजं प्रशान्तारुणलोचनं दोर्भिश्चतुर्भिर्विदितं पीतकौशाम्बरेण च. The Lord's body is blackish, but is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and very, very beautiful. His eyes are always peaceful, and they are reddish like the rising morning sun. So this is a very important point to note. So Lord's eyes, what is the color of Lord's eyes? It is reddish. No, it's not one of that angry eyes. No, it is something different. No, this reddish. Whenever we see these colors, sometimes we think of the colors of this material world. What we have experience of. So generally, a beautiful eyes means, like, it should have a lot of white portion in it, right? So that's called the beautiful eyes. But then the Lord's eyes are reddish, and then we see that, like a rising morning sun. That's the way. Like, here also, that specific, this one is used. Prashanta Aruna Lochanam. Aruna means, like, the rising sun. No. So Udilo Aruna. So there is a bhajan is also there on that, this one. Aruna means the rising sun. So Prashanta Aruna Lochanam. So that's reddish like morning sun. I could immediately recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his four hands, different symbolic representations, and yellow silk garments. So, no, Krishna often, he, in general, like, he is in the two-handed form, but then many times he displays the four-handed form. So, in the first canto of Bhagavatam, we saw that in the Bhishma Dev is passing away. So, when Bhishma Dev is leaving this world, so that time Krishna shows this. And when Krishna took birth, like, at that point in time, like, to Devaki and Vasudev, he showed the 400 form. And then, like, while killing this demon Poundrak, the Poundrak, he was, like, he was a king. And then some of his fellow people, like, they told, hey, you are Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord, and things like that. So he assumed two more hands, like, extra hands. And then he challenged Krishna, saying that, you are a Nakli Vasudev, no, you have to give up your two hands, and then, no, you have to surrender to me. And Krishna actually fought with him, and he killed him. So even while in presence of Krishna, there was duplicate gods. So then, what to speak of now? No, now there is a marketplace of gods. So many people are there, claiming themselves to be gods, and definitely Krishna will vanquish all of them. Right? So, and then his Pita, this one, like, Pitambara. So Ambara means, like, the uh, cloth, and Pita means, like, yellow. So here it is used as Pita Kaushambarena Cha. So it is like Pitambara. So Kausha means, like, silken. So yellow silken, garments. So Lord is also called as Pitambar, so because he wears yellow color. So he likes yellow color dress. Text 8. Vama urav adishritya dashinangri saroruham apashritar bakashvatham aksharam tyakta pippalam. The Lord was sitting, taking rest against a young banyan tree with his right foot on his left thigh. And although he had left all household comforts, he looked quite cheerful in that posture. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Lord's sitting posture, keeping his back against the newly grown banyan tree, is also mentioned. Is also meaningful. Ashwatha, Ashwatha no, means the banyan tree, is so called because the tree does not die very quickly. It continues to live for many, many years. His legs and their energies are his legs and their energies are the material ingredients, which are five in all, that is earth, water, fire, air, and ether or sky. The marginal energies represented by the banyan tree are products of his external potency and are therefore kept to his back. So this is like the comparison is happening with the between the banyan tree and the Lord's energies, right? So his legs are their energies. Now, whose energies? Like the trees, no, that is mentioned. So their energies that are the earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then the marginal energies represented by banyan tree are the products of his external potency and are therefore kept to his back. So this is a very important concept. The Lord, the material energy or external energy is always behind the Lord. No, it is on the backside of the Lord. So front side of the Lord is called the Dharma or the spiritual world, and the backside of the Lord is called at the Adharma or the material world. Right. So that's the symbolic representation it is mentioned here. So the banyan tree no is comprising is compared to the external energy of the Lord, and that is towards the back of the Lord. Right. And because this particular universe is the smallest of all, the banyan tree is therefore designated as small or as a child. So this is also a very important point. So this is again corroborated in one of the pastimes where Lord Brahma at one point in time, so he had went to meet Krishna in Dwaraka. So and then he told that the doorkeeper, I'm Brahma, I've come and I have to meet the Lord. Some important universal matters we have to discuss. And then the assistant of the Lord, he went inside and then he came out and he told that no, Lord is asking which Brahma you are. And Brahma is telling like, no, I'm the only Brahma. What is this question, which Brahma? So then like then again the Lord sends the son sends notice to him, say, okay, fine, you ask him to come and said, okay, he tells that no, I am the four-headed Brahma. So no, please tell the Lord that no, I have come, something important we have to discuss. And then no, then the Lord says, okay, fine, call him inside. And when Brahma goes inside, he sees that there are Brahmas of like which who has 8 heads, 12 heads, 16 heads, and there are Brahmas who's having like no thousands of heads. And the number of heads of the Brahma signifies the size of the universe and the complexity of the universe. That needs to be handled. So then our Brahma, four-headed Brahma, he felt that no, he's like a no small insect in the whole assembly, and so many other great personalities are there. So in that way, he felt very small over there, right? So in this way, here also it is mentioned, the Acharya's comment that the banyan tree is a child or is a newly grown banyan tree because that material ingredients which Lord was taking shelter of is compared to this universe where the Lord is winding up the pastimes, and this is considered to be the smallest of all the universes which is there. What we are there. This is the smallest of all the universes. So that itself is so vast and huge. Okay. Uh, Tyakta Pipalam indicates that he had now finished his pastimes in this particular small universe. But since the Lord is absolute and eternally blissful, there is no difference between his leaving or accepting something. The Lord was now prepared to leave this particular universe and go into another, just as the sun rises on one particular planet and sets in another simultaneously, but does not change in its own situation. So this is a particular this one we had even discussed in the some of the sessions, that just like the sun rises in one place and sits in another place. So just like now, if 5 o'clock, or no, what is the time? So 2:33 is getting past now in this place in Bangalore. So now at another place the 2:33 will start, and when the 2:33 is gone there, another place 2:33 will start. So in the same way, like now we see that Krishna's pastimes, each and every pastimes of Krishna, it's actually like manifesting here and then getting unmanifested here. So when it gets unmanifested here, it is getting manifested somewhere else. So that's why the Lord's pastimes are called as Nitya Leela, which is constantly happening. Okay, so text 9. Tasmin Mahabhagavato Dvaipayana Suhrit Sakha Lokan Anucharan Siddha Asa Sada Yadrichaya. At that time, after traveling in many parts of the world, Maitreya, a great devotee of Lord and a friend and well-wisher of the great sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, reached that spot out of his own perfect accord. So now the scene is Krishna is planning to leave the planet, and then that time somehow or other Vidura came and met there, and now the second personality Maitreya is also coming to meet. So later on we'll see that Vidura will say that, okay, now I am too much afflicted by separation of the Lord. So now further things you can learn from Maitreya. So no, he will just delegate the whole thing to him, and then he will just leave from there. So that is how Vidura meets Maitreya, and that forms a greater middle portion of the Bhagavatam. So a great deal of discussions that happen between Maitreya and Vidura. So that forms a major portion of Bhagavatam actually, in the middle sections. Okay, so purport. Maitreya was one of the disciples of Maharishi Parashara, the father of Vyasadeva. Thus, Vyasadeva and Maitreya were friends and mutual well-wishers. By some fortunate accident, Maitreya reached the place where Lord Krishna was resting. To meet the Lord is not an ordinary incident. So it's mentioned as accident here, but then actually it is not an ordinary incident. So just like that, you cannot meet the Lord. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is Lord mentions Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavita. So just like that, it is not possible to meet the Lord, right? So it's not an ordinary incident. Maitreya was a great sage and a learned scholar, philosopher, but not a pure devotee of the Lord. And therefore, his meeting with the Lord at the time may have been due to Ajnata Sukriti or some unknown devotional service. Pure devotees always engage in pure devotional activities, and therefore their meeting with the Lord is natural. But when those who are not up to that standard meet the Lord, it is due to the unforeseen fortune of accidental devotional service. Right? So this is Ajnata Sukriti. Ajnata means without one's knowledge, somebody must have performed some devotion, and that Sukriti is added up, and then when it is reaches to a certain point, so they get a chance to engage in the service of the Lord, right? With consciousness. Text 10. तस्यानुरक्तस्य मुनेर्मुकुन्दः प्रमोदभावान्त कन् कन् कन्दरस्य आशृण्वथो माम् अनुरागः स समीक्षया विश्रमयन् उवाच. Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to him, the Lord, and he was listening in a pleasing attitude, with his shoulder lowered, with a smile and a particular glance upon me, having allowed me to rest. The Lord spoke as follows. Purport. Although both Uddhava and Maitreya were great souls, the Lord's attention was more on Uddhava because he was a spotlessly pure devotee. Ajnata Bhakta, or one whose devotion is mixed with monastic viewpoint, is not a pure devotee. Although Maitreya was a devotee, his devotion was mixed. The Lord reciprocates with his devotee on the basis of transcendental love and not on the basis of philosophical knowledge or fruitive activities. So these two things always we will see whenever we have the definition of pure devotional service. Always these 2 points will come. No, free from jnana karmadi anavritam. So like free from the contaminations of jnana and karma. So like karma means what? Fruitive activities. No, like I will do this and I will need this return, no benefit in return. So what is in it for me? If I do this, what is the fruit that I'm going to get? So that's fruitive activities. And philosophical knowledge or philosophical speculation, or that is called jnana. Jnana means like to what is that? There is no love of Godhead, but then there is a sense of spiritual identity. So I am spirit soul, I am not this matter. So that is also not sufficient enough. One has to have a pure love towards the Supreme Lord. No, it should not be contaminated with only knowledge. Only knowledge means um, like I'm just spirit and Lord is also spirit. So what else? Like no, like service aspect doesn't come over there. So knowledge generally brings about detachment and inaction and things like that. So that's the aspect of knowledge. So that's why the contamination of knowledge should also not be there. So a person should be an active servant of the Supreme Lord. So that is how the devotees, they are like fully devoted to the Lord. But then those who are not pure devotees, they'll be contaminated either with fruitive mentality or no, like jnana, karma or jnana. That contamination will be there. Hmm. So, in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, there is no place for monastic knowledge or fruitive activities. Monastic knowledge means no, all souls are one or all spirit is one and things like that. The mono, no, mono means one, right? So, like monastic knowledge means not having the understanding about the Supreme Lord, not understanding one's position as the servant of the Lord, and not understanding one's relationship with the Lord. So, monastic knowledge means no, everything is spirit. So like this is matter, I don't want to get engaged in matter, and this rest of it is spirit. So no, I am spiritual, so what's the problem? So that is like monastic knowledge, no, that can relieve a person from material miseries, but then that is not sufficient enough to like give a constant happiness, for a person. So he will in such a person's heart, devotional service is very difficult to get actually. So that's why this monastic knowledge and fruitive activities are always condemned in terms of practice of pure devotional service. Okay, the gopis in Vrindavan were neither highly learned scholars nor mystic yogis. They had spontaneous love for the Lord, and thus he became their heart and soul. And the gopis also became the heart and soul of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya approved the relationship of the gopis with with the Lord as supreme. Herein, the Lord's attitude towards Uddhava was more intimate than Maitreya Muni. Right? So Maitreya Muni was a mixed devotee. So the Lord was not giving eye contact to Maitreya Muni. Lord was looking at Uddhava and then he was speaking. So that's the this one. Text 11. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vedahamantar Manasi Manasi Sitham Te Dadami Yattad Duravapam Anyaihi Shastre Pura Vishwa Shrujam Vasunam Mat Siddhi Kamena Vaso Tvayashtah. Okay. Okay, so here we see, oh Vasu, I know from within your mind what you desired in the days of yore when the Vasus and other demigods responsible for expanding the universal affairs perform sacrifice. You particularly desired to achieve my association. This is very difficult for others to obtain, but I awarded it unto you. No, is like Lord is telling to Uddhava that like before you were Vasu, no, like one of the Vasus, we can even know that like even Bhishma, he also was like one of the great personalities like the demigods. And here we see that Uddhava is also one of the Vasus. And he's mentioning like uh, when all these demigods and all these people, like they were busy expanding the universal affairs and managing the universal affairs, you had a particular desire to achieve my association. So it is very, very difficult, but I gave it to you because you had a desire, so I fulfilled it for you. No, that's the this one here it's mentioned. Okay, purport. Uddhava is one of the eternal associates of the Lord and a plenary portion of Uddhava was one of the 8 Vasus in the days of yore. Um, the 8 Vasus and the demigods in the upper planetary system, who are responsible for management of the universal affairs, performed a sacrifice in the days of yore, desiring to fulfill their respective ultimate goals in life. At that time, an expansion of Uddhava, acting as one of the Vasus, desired to become an associate of the Lord. The Lord knew this because He is present in the heart of every living entity as Paramatma, the superconsciousness. In everyone's heart, there is the representation of the superconsciousness who gives memory to the partial consciousness of every living entity. So this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, like no matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha. So the Lord sitting as Paramatma, so like knowledge, matta smriti jnanam apohanam. So like knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So all these things is given by the Lord, no, and Lord in which form? In Paramatma form. So here, how do we justify that? No, this person Uddhava was here. Two things that are mentioned. Uddhava is an eternal associate of the Lord. Always he is a constant companion of the Lord. But in the material world, no, sometimes there is a way in which all these personalities come and enter into. No, sometimes they just doesn't come directly and land up in the pastimes of the Lord. So here we see that no, like Uddhava, no, as one of his expansions. So he was one of the Vasus, and in the beginning of the creation, so all these people like who are called as the Prajapatis or the managers of this universe, so they all are assigned different tasks, to manage the universal affairs. And for executing that task, they would worship the Lord and they would perform yajnas. And that is the way it is. Like, no, whatever has been told, they would not say, okay, fine, now I am so powerful, I will execute it. So they would not say that. So whatever service is given, so they would perform a yajna, they would gain the sanction of the Lord, and they would get it done. So like that, so they used to do. So that's the process. In the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we see that the yajna is the process of life. So in this world, if somebody wants to make a livelihood, so what is the process? You have to study well and go to a job, right? So in the Vedic system, like if you want to make a livelihood, you have to perform yajna. It was like very, very clear. So if you perform yajna, the Lord will bestow benedictions upon you and you will get whatever you want. So that's how people would do. Often we can see this phenomena in the Vedic times, that people, they want anything, they would perform yajna. And in fact, in one pastime it is there, the Daksha, who is one of the Prajapatis, who was in charge of creation. So he created a set of sons, and then he told that, okay, fine. So now you have to expand the this one population in the earth, and because it's a initial phase of creation, so like world is the whole universe is empty, and this Prajapati's job is to create population. So these sons of Daksha were told, okay, now you create progeny, and they went to do tapasya, to perform yajna and tapasya for few hundreds of years, and then they come back and they will beget children. So that's the whole this and no, even to increase one's family, they would go and do tapasya. No, that's how, anything for that matter. Like if you want to make a livelihood, if you want to make anything, for that matter, so they would just do this thing. So this is the formula that they used to take. And here we see that like this Vasus, when they were performing yajna, so all of them were desiring something material, but Uddhava was desiring something spiritual. Now he was desiring that I should get the association of Lord, and Lord is telling it is very difficult, but then you desired it, so you got it. No, that's the main thing. Whoever desires, they will get. The most difficult part of this is desiring to get the Lord. No, that's the most difficult part. Not many will desire to get the Lord. So, okay. Hmm. Where we left. Hmm. The living entity as partial consciousness forgets incident of his past life, but the superconsciousness reminds him how to act in terms of his past cultivation of knowledge. Bhagavad Gita confirms this fact in various ways. Ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So this ye tamam prapadyante, as people surrender unto me, I reciprocate with them accordingly. And then sarvasya aham hridi sannivishto. No, Lord is saying that I am residing in the heart of every living entity, and from me mattaha no comes smritir jnanam and apohanam. No, apohanam means forgetfulness, jnanam means knowledge, smriti means remembrance. So no, all these things comes from me, the Lord is saying. Right, so everyone is at liberty to desire as he likes, but the desire is fulfilled by the Supreme Lord. So man proposes and God disposes. No, that's the thing. So man likes something and God fulfills it. No, that's the way it is. Everyone is independent to think or desire, but the fulfillment of one's desire depends on the supreme will. So we may desire anything, but the desire will get fulfilled only by the will of the Lord. So that is why, in the famous sloka of Bhagavad Gita, which common people often say, karm karo, fal ki ichha mat karo, like that. What is that? Karmanyavadhikaraste, ma phaleshu kadashana. So, like this particular this one actually has a basis. So, what is that? You are a servant of Lord, so you should be attached to doing work for the Lord. And why I should not be attached to the fruits of my action? I have worked hard. No, I should. I'm like no, I'm meant for enjoying the fruits that is coming out of this action. So then, like ma karma phala hetu gur. So don't aspire for the fruits of your activity, or don't try to enjoy the fruits of your activity. Why I should not enjoy? This is no. I have worked hard, and then the salary day comes, and the boss says like, no, don't be attached to your salary. So no, how is it possible? So then, yeah. So it is not the salary that has been spoken about; it's the work that has been done. So even in the office, also we see that. Like you work, and then the actual work that has been done, the actual result that has come out of the work, so that belongs to the company. No, so company will say like, you see, no, don't breach the conduct over here. So whatever is given to you is company's work, and then you just do it, and then you don't have any say on that. It is fully mine. And what will I get? No, you will get prasad. No, I'll give you salary. No, just take the prasad and be happy. Right, so in the same way, like now here we see that no, like everything is, we have to do things, and the results is depending on the Lord. No, whatever the Lord wishes, no, he will give. That is the result. Okay, the law is expressed as man proposes and God disposes. In the days of yore, when the demigods and Vasus performed sacrifice, Uddhava, as one of the Vasus, desired to enter into the association of the Lord, which is very difficult for those busy in the emphoric philosophical speculation or fruitive activities. Such persons have practically no information of the facts about becoming an associate of the Lord. Only the pure devotee can know, by the mercy of the Lord, that the personal association of the Lord is the highest perfection of life. The Lord assured Uddhava that he would fulfill his desire. It appears that when the Lord informed him by his indication to Uddhava, the great sage Maitreya finally became aware of the importance of entering into the association of the Lord. So here so many things are happening. Like the Lord is it is we see in Bhagavad Gita the philosophical subjects, and here in Bhagavatam it is the Bhagavad Gita in action. We can see the Bhagavad Gita in action. So how does a soul gets sukruti? Now how does a soul advances in Krishna consciousness? So like here Maitreya, seeing Krishna alone, he is not becoming pure devotee. He is seeing the relationship between Krishna and Uddhava. So he is understanding the meaning of entering into the personal association of the Lord, entering into the personal entourage of the Lord. So it is very, very important, this one. So if we say like me and my God, so then we may not be able to enter into the association of Lord. So we need to understand how the Lord's intimate devotees are associating with him, and we have to see we have to see their relationship with the Lord. And that's why Bhagavatam, you see, like everywhere Krishna is described, or the Krishna or all the incarnations of the Lord is described in relation to the devotees of the Lord, right? So if you see in other Puranas, Narsimha's Leela, if you study, you'll be seeing that whole Narsimha Leela. Narsingadev is this one hero of it. But in Bhagavatam, who's the hero? Prahlad. No, so like Narsingadev just appears in one chapter, one or two chapters. That's it, and then he just performs some action. And the seventh canto starts with the glories of Prahlad Maharaj, and then his like how Hiranyakashipu is torturing Prahlad, and how Prahlad is putting up with all those torture, and then how Lord appears, and then how the Lord is enticing Prahlad to take so many different material benedictions, and Prahlad is telling, no, 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 I just don't want anything of this. I just want to be your servant, and no, please don't make me a merchant. Like it looks like no, I have done all the devotional service for getting something from you. No, no, please don't treat me like that. No, I'm your devotee, and I don't want anything from you. So I just simply want to render devotional service unto you. So Prahlad Maharaj is actually speaking in that way, right? So we can see that in other scriptures, we don't get the like surety that a person in other Puranas where Narsimha's Leela is there, we don't get the surety of after reading that you will become a devotee. But then Bhagavatam, this one is result is if you read Bhagavatam, you will become a devotee. Why? Because the devotees have been presented here. So by seeing the devotee and by seeing the devotion that a devotee has in his heart towards the Lord and the Lord's interaction with the devotees, that is when we will actually become devotees, right? So that's why it is very important. Bhagavatam, if you see the heroes in different sections, is all like the devotees of the Lord, right? So even in Krishna Lila, the heroes are like the gopis of Vrindavan. So they are like, they are the best over there. And everywhere, like, it's the heroes, the devotees, who are there. And the Lord actually puts them in that way, right? So neophyte people, new people, they'll be very much enamored by the Lord. Oh, Lord is there, like, no, we will have to attend to the Lord. And as we become more mature in Krishna consciousness, we'll say, okay, fine, the Lord is there, but then more important is to render service to the devotees of the Lord, right? So in fact, Lord Shiva tells to Parvati that she asked, like, what's the best form of worship? And he says that Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnur Aradhanam Param. The best of all the worship is Vishnur Aradhanam. No, that is a Param. And then Tasmat Parataram Devi. No, be even more higher than that. Parataram. No, means like even more higher than that is Tadiyanam Samarchanam. So anything that is connected to Vishnu, if you worship, no, that thing, that is the best form of worship. That means worshipping the holy Dham of the Lord, worshipping the devotees of the Lord who's connected to him, worshipping the taking care of the paraphernalia of the Lord and things like that. So that is advanced devotion. Advanced devotion means they will not be so much, they will be attracted to the Lord, but then they will give more importance for the devotees of the Lord. So they will take more association of devotees of the Lord because they know that. So devotees have the devotion to Lord, and if I want to get devotion, I have to go to a devotee and not to the Lord. No, Lord will not give devotion. Ultimately, yeah, Lord has to bestow, but only on the recommendation of a devotee. He bestows the devotional service to the living entities. Okay, so we will stop here. There is a question here by Srikant Prabhu. What is Nishayans? Nishayans and neophyte is not the same. Nishayans means ignorance. Knowledge and opposite to knowledge is Nishayans. Okay. What is experience of higher taste of spiritual practice? What is joy, happiness? Experience of higher taste in spiritual practice, only when you taste it, you will get to know. Even if we explain it, is not possible to understand. Only we taste it, we'll get to know. And to taste the higher taste of Krishna consciousness, one very important thing that we have to do is focused japa. Focused japa and focused reading and hearing. So Shravanam and Kirtanam should be of very, very good quality. So that is when we will be able to get the higher taste. Otherwise, we will not be able to get it. So what is joy, happiness, and bliss? It's in the spiritual state. If you ask, that you have to taste it. You have to understand it based on your sincere practice. So that is when you will be able to see this. So joy, happiness, and all these things, all are synonymous. Generally, we use the word bliss. Bliss is a little more higher form of happiness and things like that. So it's like for different gradations, they may use different words. But then, if we really want to understand the meaning of these, we need to, in reality, in an experiential way. So then we have to focus very nicely on our chanting. So this is a very constant thing that we are always been discussing, that we should try to focus. We should try to hear every single syllable, every single name that is being chanted. We should try to apply our focus on that. And then whenever we are not able to, we should pray to the Lord that when will I be able to focus very nicely? There will be nothing else that will run into my system when the chanting is going on. Right. So like somehow or other, we should get to the stage of focused chanting. And if we do that, simply by doing this, we have seen that people coming with problem of depression, people coming with problem of too much of hyperaction in the mind, and people coming with so many different problems. Just by absorbed chanting, all these things gets eradicated. This is like Ramban solution. We can say it's like really, really very powerful. This one. Anyways, this is all material effects, but we will get spiritual effect. The taste that you're talking about. So we will get that spiritual effect, and once we get the spiritual effect, then all these material things will automatically get surrendered. That will automatically, it'll get done. Okay, so we will stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.